years, but
and they're great. So
Yeah.
if
I
any
wish
of yours exist, I would love the privilege to.
I'll have to see them. I'm just looking through that stuff now.
Okay.
It wasn't kept in a very organized way.
Yeah. Like I have some of Jim Donovan's letters.
Oh, really?
Actually, I'll send some of those to you.
Oh, I'd love to see them.
'Cause you'd love to see.
He was a terrific guy,
Yeah.
Jim Dunn. I was very impressed with Jim. How old was he when he died?
He was young.
Very young.
He was young. He.
What was the cause?
I think a heart attack. I believe. I think it was. He must have been in his 50s. Maybe he was around age 50.
Yeah, God. He was very, very bright, very intelligent.
He'd run for the Senate. Remember, he ran.
That's right. That's right.
And lost.
Yes.
And then I think he became chairman of the schools or the Board of Education or something.
Yes, I think that's correct.
And then he just dropped dead.
Yeah, he wrote that book about what was that?
Oh, about the Cubans.
No, about the Soviet.
Yes, yeah, he wrote I know.
About the Russian spy.
Right, about the spy he defended. Abel.
He defended Abel.
Abel.
That he defended. Yeah. I would see him from time to time after the war, and I remember when he was talking to me about Abel. Amazing story too.
Did your experience in Nuremberg and seeing the atrocities, do you think that had any impact on some of your writings thereafter? Could you trace any of your thinking process to that exposure you had at Nuremberg?
That's a fax from me. Not, Greg, oddly enough, in any direct way, of course, it affected me very much, but that was not reflected directly in my work. In a way, I was on like two tracks. Just before the war, after my first book came out, I had started or projected a second book about a novel about the fight game that became The Harder They Fall.
Right.
And I had kind of outlined it and thought about it. And when I came back from the war, where all my friends, James Jones, although I didn't know him until after the war, Irwin Shaw, who I knew very well, and Mailer and all the rest of them all wrote their, in a sense, wrote their war experiences into their novels. I sort of went back to where I was and went back to the beginning and plodded on with The Harder They Fall, and then went on to Scott Fitzgerald, and sort of, in some odd way, I skipped writing about the war. And I can't even tell you, Greg, that I understand why I wrote a few short stories and some articles. I wrote about Leni Riefenstahl in the Saturday Evening Post and stuff like that, but I never wrote a novel that related to the war.
On your life, your entire, almost 90 years, and you are the best-looking 90-year-old gentleman I've ever seen. I love the twinkle in your eye. I got to just I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at you, and I think you got a twinkle.
If I have a twinkle today after getting back from Miami in a snowstorm.
I am so impressed.
Seriously.
But what is the Bud Schulberg highlight or highlights? I mean, you reflect back on it, and is there a couple things that just kind of jump out and say, wow?
Well, I have to stop and think, but I think one of the things I'm really proudest of is the, in my life, is being involved with Watts at the time of the riots, and the very deep involvement I had with Watts from '65 on, and starting that Watts Writers Workshop and being associated ever since with that work. I think if I had any one, I would pick that experience. It was really a profound one for me. On the wall there was telegram I framed from Bobby Kennedy when I was in Italy at that Rockefeller villa, fantastic place on Lake Como in the spring of '68, and I got this cablegram from Bobby saying he had decided to run for president, and he hoped that I would help him with my people. And I realized when he sent me that wire that he meant by my people not Jewish people, but the African American people in Watts and South Central Los Angeles. And in a way, when I looked at that damn thing, I thought, Jesus, that I guess in a way, not that they're my people, but I was one of only. There were only 2 white people. They said right after the riot inside of Watts. He called it not the riot, but the uprising. There were only 2 white people that could walk safely around there, and that one was Father. There was a street priest, Episcopal priest called Father Sam, and me. That was about it. We could walk around there relatively safely for quite a long time, through '65, I would say, into the '66. And I think in some ways that was a plus in your life when you live long enough. A lot of things that you're involved with that you are glad that you did. But I'm still very involved with that center.
Mm-hmm. Got to ask you though, were you surprised that you won the Oscar for the screenwriting that year? Was that a...
Yeah, Kazan and I were amazed. All the more reason being that that movie was such an orphan in Hollywood. No one. I saw Kazan just before he died, and I wrote a piece for this Scottish paper of all things, seeing talking with Kazan. When we were trying to make that movie, everybody turned it down. Everybody. I mean, you can't name a studio with it. Paramount, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, Columbia, MGM. There was no studio that would do it. And they not only turned it down, but insult. I mean, say, why do you want to do this thing? It's like, they would bawl Kazan out, as Zanuck did. He bawled him out. He said, I was in the office with him when he turned it down. He said, Gatch, I think you're a great talent, but there's something wrong with you. He said, why do you want to do these crazy movies? He said, first you bring me Viva Zapata. Nobody wants to see Viva Zapata. Who cares about a goddamn Mexican, whatever he is? And then you bring me this, he said. Honest to God, he just chewed him out. And that's the way it was everywhere we went. So, finally getting it made really on a shoestring. We made it for about $800,000, and they had to shoot it fast in 35 days. Now they want 80 days or more to make a movie. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we were so scorned for doing it, and that was so hard, made it very much an uphill. And we thought it's almost like an anti-Hollywood project, independent Eastern, that we couldn't win it. But we did want to win it. We really wanted to win it as a weapon on the side of independent films Eastern films with a social point of view, because they're so hard to make. So in that way, yes, we were surprised and pleased, but we were still so defiant, and we were so really, if you pardon the expression, we were still so pissed off about this that. After the awards are given out formally, there's a governor's ball, at which, as you see, all the stars come in the press, and it's a big showing. And Kazan and I refused to go to the governor's ball. That we were still mad, And instead we hired a back room of a Chinese restaurant and held our own just to kind of really, just to stick it to them. We were still mad when I saw it, because then, just before he died, which was last month, I saw him just a short time before he died, and almost the first thing he said to me, he said, "Bud, remember," he said, "Zanuck wouldn't give a shit." He's still, because then, 50 years later, it's still, it's almost like the last thing he ever said. He's still mad. It was a maddening experience. It really was.
Fantastic.
Well, congratulations. My God.
So that was our feeling when we won it. We were not in the best state of mind. We were not very gracious winners, believe me. We weren't. It didn't win us stuff. We were so mad at Zanuck and all these people. You know, they had tortured us, and I had gone almost. I really gone broke over it. I had to mortgage my farm. I was doing it on spec. We weren't getting any money for it, and it looked like a lost cause. That's what's so strange. Now everywhere I go, people, that's one of the greatest movies of all time. And,
That's right.
And I think back and I say, yeah, boy, I wish you could have told Zanuck that.
Right, exactly. Wow.
Yes,
What a sense of pride.
so,
You did it.
Absolutely. Well, Bud, this has all been so great.
Oh, well, thank you.
And
Thank you.
Especially given what you were through on your travels yesterday.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You're a really good sport to
I'm-
give us this time.
I didn't. Funny thing about, if you look at my calendar, that Greg, I guess maybe incorrectly, if you look right there on the 8th, I put down 1 o'clock. I don't know how I got that. I didn't put the other one down, I guess.
Gotcha.
Well, this is just. I do need to have you sign a couple of books, if you could.
Sure. It's almost like the waterfront experience in a way, because I read the other day something about Gatsby had sold 1 million of the, and when I talked to poor Scott, I'll never forget, he was having such a tough time, and I couldn't even find his books in a second-hand bookstore, much less than, and he asked me how much I thought his royalties had been the year before. So when he said that, I knew it must be low. So I said, I don't know, it's got like $500. And he said, last year I made $13.80. Like nothing. That's
Jesus.
nothing. And now wherever I go,
Yeah.
it's such a strange experience.
Yeah. But in your case, it's a great triumph
I
of
was lucky
principle, and
But poor Scott,
But poor Fitzgerald, exactly.
I always think of poor Scott, how he could have used this money that's coming in now.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And now his books are bestsellers.
Of course, no.
It's really
it's an empire.
crazy.
Yeah, I don't know where all the money goes. Who does make all the Fitzgerald money?
I think I've met the grandchildren from Scotty Lanahan's.
Okay.
God, it doesn't seem fair, does it?
No, it doesn't.
God, it's
It
not
really
fair.
doesn't. Yeah.
It's very hard to understand how he could have been so out of favor. If you ever had time, read the obits on Scott Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They are devastating about this figure of the past who was successful in the 20s and then became
a failure and a nobody.
alcoholic, and they're all almost all Westbrook Peglin. They're almost all. It's just totally dismissive. He was like a sort of a relic of the past.
Well, here, I know Greg wants you to sign some books.
Yeah.